Have you ever wondered why you get breathless while running on a treadmill or working out in a gym? And what does it mean for your fitness level? If you want to find out, keep watching this video. In this video, I will talk about a magic number which can be used as an indicator of your fitness level. So stay with me for next 10 minutes to find out this number, and that can change your life drastically. I remember I felt so terrified when I first got that warning from my Apple Watch. I panicked and rushed to my doctor the same week to discuss what was wrong with my body and whether that was a matter of concern for me. But more detail on that later. First, let's just talk about how everything works in our body when we engage ourselves in any physical activity. To perform any action, our body needs energy, and that energy is provided by the food we eat. Through a series of chemical reactions, the food we eat gets converted into an organic molecule called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This ATP is the fuel for our bodies and sometimes called energy currency. ATP is formed from the process of cellular respiration in the mitochondria of a cell. This can be through aerobic respiration, which requires oxygen, or anaerobic respiration, which does not. For now, let's focus on aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration produces ATP, carbon dioxide, water from glucose and oxygen. Both glucose and oxygen are supplied by our blood for the formation of ATP. Let's take a look at the chemical structure of ATP, which by the way looks a bit complicated. As you can see, its structure has three components: a nitrogenous base, sugar, and phosphate group. Now, when chemical bonds on phosphate side break, the energy is released. And that is how our cells get energy from ATP and perform any action. In short, we need oxygen to release the energy stored in the food. Every task or activity has its threshold energy requirements, and to continue to perform that task, the working muscles need a constant supply of oxygen and glucose. The higher the intensity of the task, the more oxygen you need to get higher energy to complete that task. To give you a perspective, the average volume of oxygen needed while sitting is around 300 milliliters per minute, and it could go up to 8 to 10 times or even more when somebody is engaged in a high intensity activity that could be running or hiking. That is why your breath and heart rate increase during strenuous activities, as I already mentioned, maybe running or hiking. This is exactly where the idea of VO2 max comes into picture. But what is VO2 max, you ask? I'm glad you did. VO2 max is the maximal oxygen uptake during any physical activity. And my friends, this is your magic number I've been talking about since the beginning of this video. Let's continue to build our understanding for this number. You can easily perform certain activities such as walking or sitting on a couch for a long period because their energy threshold requirements are low. But imagine if you run at a speed of 12 kilometers an hour, then you won't be able to do it for a long period or won't be able to do it at all, because either the threshold requirements are beyond what your body can meet or cannot meet in a sustained manner for that long. There is a limit to the rate at which your body can supply oxygen to the muscles performing the activity. And that maximum rate is nothing but your VO2 max, which decides how fit you are. Let's look at the principle of calculation of the VO2 max, which is called Fick's principle. It was proposed by a gentleman named Adolf Eugene Fick. He was a physiologist at the University of Zurich in Switzerland. His research focused primarily on physiology and medical physics. Fick's principle can be extended to incorporate the uptake or release of any substance, for example, carbon dioxide or oxygen, and it can be applied to the whole body or individual organs and tissues. Here, we will apply it to the oxygen since we are talking about VO2 max. The formula looks like this. In this formula, the first term is cardiac output. It is the volume of blood pumped by the heart per unit time, and it is usually expressed as liter per minute. The second term is arteriovenous oxygen difference. It is the amount of oxygen taken up from the blood by the tissues of the working muscles. The greater the amount of oxygen extracted by the tissues, the greater the arteriovenous oxygen difference. VO2 max is usually expressed as liter per minute or milliliter per kilogram per minute to include the weight factor to compare maximal oxygen uptakes of two individuals. This was a basic introduction to VO2 max, and in upcoming videos we will dive much deeper to understand it further. Up until recently, VO2 max was mostly used by elite athletes to improve their performance. However, Modern research suggests that higher VO2 max indicates higher cardiorespiratory fitness, in short, CRF. VO2 max is a valid index measuring the limits of cardiorespiratory system's ability to transport oxygen from the air to the tissues at a given level of physical conditioning and oxygen availability. As per American College of Sports Medicine, in short ACSM, guidelines, your CRF level has a direct relationship with your age expectancy. This means you tend to live longer if your CRF level is high. So in short, VO2 max is a very important factor if you want to live both a longer lifespan and a great health span. I will talk about this relationship in greater detail in my upcoming videos. VO2 max almost certainly decreases with age. However, with the help of exercise, we can slow down this decrease to an extent. Some of the helpful workouts to increase your VO2 max are high intensity interval training, in short HIIT, running, hiking, rowing. So if VO2 max is that important, then how do we measure it? Great question. VO2 max can be measured in many ways. One of the most accurate but expensive methods is to visit a lab in which you will be made to run on a treadmill or ride a bike ergometer. A face mask will be put on your face to measure the difference in the oxygen volume in the air you inhale and exhale. Apart from that, companies such as Apple, Garmin have launched their fitness bands or watches which estimate VO2 max based on your heart rate, age, and the speed at which you run or walk. But this is an indirect method, hence not very accurate and individualistic. But this is certainly cheaper than lab, as buying those bands is a one-time investment. Now, if you do not want to spend on a lab or a band, then you can still estimate your VO2 max with this simple test, which you can easily perform by yourself. It is called the Rockport 1 Mile Fitness Walking Test. In this test, an individual walks or runs 1 mile, which is 1.6 kilometers, on a level surface, and the heart rate is measured in the final minute using a chest heart rate monitor. Chest heart rate monitors are not very expensive. You can get them for like $30 or so. VO2 max is then estimated by using this equation. Please note that body mass is in kilograms, age is in years, of course. The time you took to complete 1 mile should be expressed in minutes, and finally HR is your heart rate. Just plug in your numbers in this equation to get your VO2 max. There are many other equations that you can use to estimate your VO2 max apart from this. All of them offer results with certain errors of estimate, so you can choose accordingly. However, the best method remains to be a lab test. Once you have your number, you can then refer to this chart, which will tell you where you stand currently. The higher the number, the better health you are in. So there you go. That is your magic number you should focus on while deciding your workout plan. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them down below. I will answer all of them as soon as I can. Let's build a community committed to health and fitness together. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. And if you're curious about the next video, subscribe to my channel and you will never miss an update. Until next time, stay healthy, stay safe. This is T signing off.